Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Welcome to Heart of the Home. Today we're going to be taking advantage of those delicious strawberries that are in season right now, and we're going to start with a strawberry pie. This has a crumb topping, which I love crumb toppings versus your lattice work. I feel like they're pretty, but there's a little bit more work than a crumb topping. So what we're going to start with is the crumb topping, and we've got flour and sugar in our bowl here, and what we're going to do is we're going to add just a little pinch of nutmeg. All right, and now we're going to come back in with some butter that I've already cubed. Now, if you have a pastry blender, which is kind of a roundish fork-like thing, they do certainly make your life easier. But if you don't have one of those, you can use a couple of forks maybe, or you can do this by hand. So we're going to start with doing it by hand. I think it was about 6 tablespoons of butter, if I'm not mistaken. Just going to kind of mix that together, the flour, the sugar, the nutmeg, and the butter. What we're looking for is kind of a crumbly texture to make the crumb topping. And this does tend to take a few minutes if you're doing it by hand. It's okay to have a couple of chunks of butter. You just don't want them too large. All right, so our crumb topping is done. We're going to set it to the side. We've got these beautiful fresh strawberries here, to which we're going to add some sugar and a little bit more flour and some cornstarch. I'm going to toss that up. You don't want to get really rough-handed with this. You kind of want the strawberries to stay somewhat intact and thick and big. All right, and while that's waiting, we're going to come back and work with our crust. Store-bought roll-out dough. Perfectly fine to use this. It is certainly a time saver. If you want to make homemade dough, there's nothing wrong with that either. We're going to roll that out. It's been sitting at room temperature a little bit. You have a pie dish waiting on the side here. Now you can come back and try to be pretty if you want. You can push it between your fingertips and your knuckles. Or you can leave it rustic if you'd like. I do like to keep it in a dip dish form to a certain extent so it doesn't spill out of the edges when everything bakes. So our crust is ready. Now we're going to put our strawberries with the cornstarch, flour, and sugar in there. And then I'm going to come back with that crumb topping. When I make my apple crumb pie, I always do a little extra topping. I love the crunchiness. All right, got that beautiful crumb topping. And yes, now we're going to do more butter. You've got cubes of butter waiting, just kind of dot them around. All right, now our pie is going to go into a convection bake oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. We then drop the temperature to 375 for about 45 minutes. It is absolutely perfect, I'm happy to say. I also want to mention that, we had these foil pieces sitting out before when we created the pie. I was very careful in watching it to make sure it didn't burn as we went along. If something like that, if you're not watching it, you're not careful, you will want to wrap your pie dish or your crust around with aluminum foil. Certainly helps keeps it from getting burned. But this is perfect as it is. I'm dying to cut into this. And there you have it, strawberry pie with a crumb topping. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.